How to play chess. A step-by-step guide. Goal of chess is to checkmate your opponent's king. A checkmate occurs when the king is in a position to be captured, in check, and cannot escape from capture on the next move. Chessboard setup. 1. The chessboard consists of 64 squares, 8 by 8 grid, that alternate between light and dark colors. 2. Each player begins with 16 pieces, 1 king, 1 queen, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, and 8 pawns. 3. The pieces are set up in 2 rows. 3. The back row, closest to each player, contains the rooks in the corners, followed by knights, bishops, the queen, on her matching color, and the king. 3. The front row is filled with pawns. Movement of pieces. Each piece moves in a unique way. King moves 1 square in any direction, horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. The king can never move into check, which means a square controlled by an opponent's piece. Queen moves any number of squares in a straight line, horizontal, vertical, or diagonal. The queen is the most powerful piece. Rook moves any number of squares horizontally or vertically. It cannot jump over pieces. Bishop moves any number of squares diagonally. Bishops remain on their original color, light or dark squares. Knight moves in an L shape, 2 squares in one direction, horizontal or vertical, and then 1 square perpendicular. The knight is the only piece that can jump over other pieces. Pawn moves forward 1 square but captures diagonally. On its first move, a pawn can move 2 squares forward. If a pawn reaches the opponent's back rank, the last row, it can be promoted to any other piece, usually a queen. Basic rules. Check and checkmate. 1. Check. A king is in check when it is under immediate threat of capture. 1. The player must move the king out of check, block the check, or capture the attacking piece. 2. Checkmate. The game ends in checkmate when the king is in check and has no legal moves to escape. 2. The player delivering the checkmate wins. Stalemate. 1. A game ends in a stalemate if a player has no legal move and their king is not in check. 1. Stalemate results in a draw. Castling. 1. Castling is a special move involving the king and a rook. 1. The king moves 2 squares towards the rook, and the rook moves to the square next to the king. 1. Castling can only be done if neither the king nor the rook has moved previously. There are no pieces between the king and the rook. The king is not in check, and it cannot move through or into check during the castling move. En passant. 1. If a pawn moves 2 squares forward from its starting position and lands beside an opponent's pawn, the opponent can capture the pawn en passant as if it had moved only 1 square. 1. This must be done immediately after the pawn moves 2 squares. Pawn promotion. 1. When a pawn reaches the opponent's back rank, it must be promoted to another piece, usually a queen. 1. A pawn cannot remain a pawn or be promoted to a king. Winning the game. 1. The game can end with a checkmate, stalemate, or draw by mutual agreement. 2. Other drawing situations include insufficient material, where neither player has enough pieces to checkmate, threefold repetition, the same position occurs 3 times, and the 50-move rule, if no pawn has moved and no captures have been made in the last 50 moves.